Alright, what is going on YouTube? Ivailo versus Edward Longshanks, the third quarterfinals of the main event of Hidden Cup 4. We will take a look at the draft of the players. Ivailo has selected Bypass and Slopes as his home map, bans Cross. Other side, Edward selects Islands and Bay, bans Quarry. Here are the civilizations. Islands, or what islands? Indians and Huns were the global bans, Chinese and Aztecs were the snipes, Lithuanians, Khmer, Italians, Mayans, Mongols, and Turks available for Ivailo. And the other side, it's gonna be Franks, Vikings, Tatars, Malay, Portuguese, and Britons. Now, we have an important piece of information over here. The games will start in 3 minutes or so, but more importantly, since these are casted from recorded games, there can be some technical difficulties. Basically, in game number 1, there was a drop, and the recorded game crashes Definitive Edition. We know that. That's what the tournament admins say. So the first 2 minutes of the first game will not be visible. That's not going to be visible for any caster because the recorded game before the drop actually crashes the Definitive Edition. So the first game will start after 2 minutes. Now, there won't be much happening in 2 minutes unless there's a lame or so. We don't know that much, but that's basically the concept. So I just wanted to introduce this a little bit before we actually start. It seems like I still have 2 more minutes to talk, but I just wanted to make sure I have time to tell this, so there is no complaints about, hey, where's the first 2 minutes of the game? It won't be visible for the first game. So let's talk about the players and the civilizations. Bypass could very well be Turks over here. We have seen Turks being a pretty popular pick on Bypass. Slopes, I think, could be Mongols, could be Khmer, could even be Mayans for Ivailo. Bay seems like the Mongols or Italians pick for Ivailo, but considering we have islands, I would think that even though Italians could be good for Bay as well, it's probably going to be Italians for islands, Mongols for Bay, Khmer for Slopes makes sense. Bypass could be Turks, and Mayans could be Arabia. But there's an alternative solution for Ivailo, and that would be Lithuanians on Bay, Mongols on Slopes, Italians on islands, Mayans or Khmer on Arabia, and Turks for Bypass. Other side, we have Tatars. It could be a Tatars pick on Arabia. That's not impossible. Portuguese seems like an island civ here. We also have Vikings. It could be a Vikings Arabia pick as well. Britons seems like a good civilization for a map like Bypass. Malay is probably the idea for Bay. Tatars will probably Slopes, but it could be Franks as well. And what are we missing? Islands, Bay, Slopes, Bypass. I guess Bypass Britons, Islands Portuguese, Malay can be Bay, Tatars or Franks can be your map or your civilization for Slopes, and that means that Vikings will be an option, or Vikings Franks will be an option for Arabia. That seems like a reasonable combination, and we should have the games in a matter of moments. Hey Travis, hello. Hope you're having a nice day over here playing Tetris in Age of Empires. Indeed, there is animated units on Captain's mode. Is this the first time that you're seeing this? Indeed, we have animations now. It looks actually really cool. I think it was implemented 2 days ago, so it's really brand new, fresh out of the oven, so to say. So, with that, I believe that Robo is going to post the recorded game for the first one in a matter of moments. As I said, the first 2 minutes of the game will not be visible because of technical difficulties. So we will join the first game at 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And after that, every other game should be good according to Robo. So you are only going to miss 2 minutes from the first game. It happens. especially with Definitive Edition. So sometimes technical difficulties stop it. How far has Doubt advanced the Hina Cup so far? I'm not going to say anything about this one because I think I know who Doubt was, but I don't want to make this one spoil another series. So I'm trying to make these individual and spoiler free, and this is probably only part of the YouTube recording. So if I said how far he has gotten, or if he's is still in or not, then that would be a spoiler to another set. What do you think of Battle Royale mode? I like to play it. It's a nice one. I think it would be cool if there would be more people playing it. It's nice for like chill. If I want to chill a little bit with Age of Empires, I can play Battle Royale. Not something that is really viable competitively whatsoever, but it's nice to jump into a few games sometimes. What do you think of Roll the Dice? I wish Roll the Dice didn't exist. That scenario is awful. I think I lost 20 years of my life playing that. So it was so chaotic. I really like that there is like these scenario communities of Age of Empires, but I felt so lost in that game mode that I was like, man, I will never play Roll the Dice again. Okay, where is the recorded game? Robo said we are starting 2 minutes ago, but apparently that was a bit of a misinformation. So I guess any moment now. I'm just going to keep an eye out on the caster's Discord, see when the recorded game drops. Every game until the grand final is going to be a recorded game, so all quarterfinals today, all semifinals tomorrow, and only the grand finals tomorrow will be live games. So yeah, that's basically it. While we're waiting, I guess I can show the draft once again. I apologize for YouTube audience. I usually try to cut these videos in a way that I cut down these waiting parts, so to say. But, well, it's not gonna happen for this one, so you might want to jump ahead 5 minutes in the video in case you don't want to wait. Okay, there's the first game. So don't jump ahead anymore. If you have stuck around with me until now, it's too late to leave. When the semifinals played, I don't know when exactly they were played. I think they are already played, or they will be played by the time they're streamed tomorrow. I don't think they will be played tomorrow. I think they will either be played today and streamed tomorrow, or they have already been played. Okay, so Ivailo versus Edward Longshanks over here. I do have a decent guess for both players over here. As I mentioned, the first 2 minutes of the game will be missing over here. That's a technical difficulty of Capture Age. So we will jump into the game. As you see, 228. And this is how we started. Edward Longshanks will be playing Franks on the left side, more like the north in red. And to the south, it's Ivailo playing as Mayans in blue, so two very, very standard Arabian civilizations. And it looks like Edward Longshanks actually has a couple of piggies in a corner. So, as I said many times, it's impossible to make these without actually, you know, making predictions on the players, so I will make mine as well. Currently, like yesterday's games, I felt like Edward Longshanks could very well be Viper, but an alternative is a well-performing Bhakti, and many people have said Ivailo could be Viper. So the thing is that we could be in for an interesting series over here. I feel like we'll learn a lot more about the players once we have seen this series. Viper definitely likes to use the TC to weaken the board nowadays, something that Bhakti often does. In fact, Bhakti was one of the first people that actually did this in here. So we're going to have some early wars coming in here for Edward Longshanks after 2 deer being pushed in. He's only 2 on wood. He used to be 3, but sent one of the wood villagers to get the walls up. And in the meanwhile, Ivailo is 4 on wood with Mayans. That's no surprise at all. So for now, the scout is going to take a look at the wood line of Ivailo. The second board isn't in just yet for him, neither it is for Edward Longshanks. He's got some interesting walls coming in, walling tile by tile. And that second war should soon come in, I believe, for Ivailo over here. Eddie doing a big scouting around the base of Ivailo for the time being, as we will apparently have a standard rush over here for Ivailo with that Voyager gathering the gold. Second board is in right now, and this time he didn't use the TC to weaken the board. Other side, second board is in as well for Edward Longshanks, who's going for some early Vows over here with his Frankish play. He's a little bit low on wood though, if he consistently keeps 2 Voyagers on wood only, so I'm not sure how he's going to be able to afford the barracks, but he's definitely afraid of a rush here from our blue player, and the first hit apparently will be landed on the scout of Edward by the Eagle, and let's see if Edward actually tries to lame those piggies. He will definitely try to, as it is going to be Ivailo trying to stop this one from happening. The Eagle in Dark Age is stronger than the Scout, so this is not going to be possible for Edward Longshanks. Indeed, he's gonna have to run away. Anyways, looking at the base of Ivailo, this gold mine isn't great, but there is a gold at the back, stone is workable, woodlands at the back as well. The right side is actually very, very open. And it looks like Ivailo is actually going to take this one into what is essentially going to be a Man-at-Arms play now. So I am not sure if this was intentional or not, but maybe he actually just faked the drush. Because if you take 10 gold away from the gold mine, it's just 9 for Mayans, because of the Civ bonus. But if you take away 10 gold from the gold mine, the opponent will see it and know it's a drush. But maybe it was a fake drush, because you could have the Voyager gathering gold from the gold mine, the opponent seeing it, and the opponent will think that, hey, it's a drush coming, but reality is that it's a Man-at-Arms play, I believe, here, from Ivailo, or it could even be an archer play here. And the thing is that Edward Longshanks sees the barracks, but he doesn't know if the militias have already left or not. He's going to see the Voyagers on gold though, so he should suspect it's a Man-at-Arms play, but he had to have his game plan as if he was up against a drush, and that is going to be a bit of a difference. So Man-at-Arms is going to be pretty decent against scouts over here. Edward Longshanks will be walling himself up slow and steady. His gold mine is okay with the walls that he has made. Woodline and stone available as well. He might just wall to the edge of the map over here, I believe. And indeed, it's a free Man-at-Arms opening here for Ivailo, as he is on the way to feudal. Walling off his base far to the left though. Like, the biggest thing that I think that could be told about this matchup right now is that if this is really Viper, these are some uncharacteristic walls for him. I don't think that he would be walling this much, but you never know. These walls do make sense, I have to say, because walling like this would actually be more work and it would be less efficient. So these are reasonable walls, it is just somewhat uncharacteristic to Viper. Sending out Voyagers to hunt is definitely something that only a few players do. Many players just leave their hunt after they didn't push it in. So I think Leary loves to do that. And many Red Bull players, like Mr. Yo as well, potentially Viper as well, like to do that, because in Red Bull you don't have time to push in there, so you just send out Voyagers for the hunt. There is the Man-at-Arms, it's actually 4 Man-at-Arms opening, and there's a weak tile of Palisade. So let's see if Edward Longshanks is actually going to be able to react to this one, tries to quick wall behind. Nice reaction, and now the Man-at-Arms will just start knocking down the stable. Immediately archer range coming in here, but that's already an achievement from Mayans, I believe. If you can force Franks to go for archers, that's a win for you. Now the thing is that this opening is still here, and the scouts will just happily run past here. And even though there is a spearman, this opening still could be a little bit annoying. And nice move over there from Edward to pick off the archer with the scouts. Loses some HP on the scouts. Actually, this archer survives. We're gonna have the Man-at-Arms trying to get to the archer range, but nice reaction over there from Edward as well. And we will have the spearman chasing down the scouts for the time being. So Man-at-Arms will try to loop around, and it looks like Edward will actually finish off his walls like this, so he will actually decide to go for some small walls. He needs some walls over here though at some point, in case those units actually try to run past. Some scouts manage to get through the defenses, but they are both low HP, so I don't think they will do much, although they could hit this wood line, or potentially try yoinking a weak Voyager, but there isn't really any. So at the end of the day, these scouts probably won't do much, especially if they run into the spearman over here, or the TC fire. They will be annoying, but they won't actually be devastating. So the question is now, what is the plan for Ivailo, because he's going for full archers, going for a fast blacksmith, finishing off his walls right now, early fletching coming in for him. No blacksmiths just yet for Edward Longshanks. Obviously, he can't really afford it. He went for stable and range, and it's gonna be turning into a scout and skirm play from him, which could work nicely. I think that he needs to play scout and skirm into knights because his opponent is probably going to play archers into eagles. The question is if it's triple barracks eagles or more like 2 barracks, 2 TCs type of a play. And it's never impossible that the Mayans will also try to think about just continuing with archers, to be honest. So scouting is going to be important overall for Edward Longshanks to see what his opponent is up to. And look at that, the skirmishers were out. In fact, Edward Longshanks is defending with skirmishers over here, and that means that the men-at-arms will be forcing back the skirmishers, and the archers can push away the villagers from the berries. Berries that are super important because this is a Frankish player. We have Bidax and Horsecolor for our red player. No surprise about Horsecolor, obviously, because he's playing Franks. Other side is going to be Ivailo playing as Mayans, and he doesn't have Horsecolor right now. He couldn't squeeze it into his build order, so he's probably going to get that for the second batch of farms only. There is no point getting Horsecolor anymore because you already dropped a lot of farms without, so you might as well just play it without Horsecolor for the time being. Nice move, by the way, from Ivailo to preserve his man-at-arms numbers. Those will be valuable when it comes to knocking down walls, potentially killing some scouts, or potentially just chasing down the skirmishers. So those man-at-arms are still valuable. As Edward Longshanks is going to start walling off his base on the left side. So scouts trying to break out right now. Apparently no speedrun is reacting there. Ivailo still has his speedrun on the left side now, moving up to the right side to clean these up. And the archers are trying to hit the back of this wood line right now. Both players having a fairly even progress into Castle Age. Fletching on the way though. For Edward Longshanks, that is alright in this case. I believe the problem is that fletching with Franks is not necessarily something that you want to invest into. If you can avoid it, it's great, because you want to play cavalry, not archers or even skirmishers. So fletching is not necessarily going to be something that you want to play with. Over here, let's see if there's eagles coming in. Indeed, here come the eagles from Ivailo. He just added the second barracks for the eagles, and since it's pure skirmishers, just 1 or 2 eagles will destroy this one very, very easily. The problem that Ivailo is facing is that he's going to lose the archers. Still, I think that this trade is alright. You will trade about 4 archers for 8 skirmishers, and you also forced this Frankish player to go for a lot of skirmishers. You also forced the Frankish player to take into fletching. In fact, it actually was cancelled. That's a nice move from Edward Longshanks. I think that he doesn't really need fletching, especially now. So it probably is better if he just saves the resources for a Castle Age Knights, because he's going to have to switch back into Knights. And the question is, what is Ivailo going to do? Because he has already shown the eagles. You see that there is too many eagles for single barracks production. So Edward Longshanks most likely knows that there is double barracks. He even sees it. So if you just continue with eagles here, Eddie is just going to go for double stable knights, and he's going to wreck your eagles with it. So the real question is if you're going to see potentially pikemen could be an idea from Ivailo, or he could just try brute forcing it with eagles, but that is going to be a little bit troublesome. Eagles finishing off the skirmishers, as we'll have a slightly faster Castle Age time here for Ivailo. And right now, Edward Longshanks will be sitting on a majestic 1 military. That is 1 skirmisher somewhere. It's inside that range. This is actually a nice move, because if Ivailo is scouting this wall, what he's going to see is that there is something in that range, but you don't know how many units or what kind of units are inside. It could be 10 crossbows even sitting there, waiting to pop out. And it's going to be a triple stable knights play. Now, I am not 100% sure you can actually afford triple stable knights. Ivailo might have spotted the next stable coming up. Yes, he saw the foundation. So he knows exactly it's going to be knights. So the question now, what is he going to do? He's bringing in a voyager, and he mixed in some spearmen. I think you can mix in some spearmen, but more importantly, it should be a monastery right away. Indeed, here comes the monastery from Ivailo. He's not going to play super aggressive. He's going to play a little bit focused on the eco, but still apply pressure. That, I think, this is the right thing to do, because you don't want to lose map control, but you also don't want to commit everything into an ego push here against a civilization that's going to have knights. First knight almost out though, and the Eagle Warrior is in. One of the advantages that you get with Eagle Warriors over Knights is that you can already start training Eagles while you're going up to Castle Age, whereas for Knights you have to wait until you actually reach Castle. Still, this is free stables, and that's a lot. And if this was Aztecs, You could even get a redemption and try and convert those buildings. Obviously, that's going to be a later stage of the game, but still. Here in this case, that's not really possible because Mayans do not have redemption, and now the Mantarms here are getting cleaned up by the Knights. If this skirmisher wanted to be useful, it would have sniped down the Spearman. That I think would have been the right play, because if you kill the Spearman, that actually helps the Knights quite a bit. And here's the big fight coming in. First Monk is only 30% done, and we'll have +1/+1 on those Knights with the 20 extra HP that comes from Franks. And Scorpion's Knights should be fairly devastating over here. The first Monk is actually out already, as we are gonna have relics being collected super early here. Many people have mentioned that Ivailo could be Viper, and that's actually a very, very Viper-esque move to go for this crazy relic collection. So 2 TCs right now coming in, but that's a lot of Knights, and they were just diving on the Monastery. That's the right thing to do, I believe. You can kill that Monastery fairly fast. You have to use the Scorpions to take down the Monk, and that Knight isn't gonna get converted, but now the Scorpions are mispositioned and the Eagles will jump on top of them. There is also quite a lot of Spearmen in the party with +1 defense only. The Eagles also have quite bad upgrades, so I think this is a great fight for Edward Longshanks. This is an excellent fight. He is just going to clean everything up here, and yeah, there is some Monks, but I think the cost efficiency isn't really there for Ivailo. Now, one thing that you have to consider is that Ivailo, first he's getting 2 conversions, which is helpful. Now that Knight is going to take down the Scorpion. But more importantly, what you gain with this is still the fact that you have 2 TCs as Ivailo and 1 TC only for Edward Longshanks. So Edward Longshanks has a pretty all-in-like build here with the triple stable Knights. Picks off the Monk though, and he needs to focus down the Voyager as well, because that Voyager is extremely important. Still, it is 8 army, 7 Knights on the field versus just 2 Eagles, and I wonder if it's actually gonna turn into a pikeman play from Ivailo. He's double barracks, going for Spearman now, but eventually his monster is gonna go down. The Voyager apparently is heading back home, and considering that Ivailo actually gathered 1 relic inside here, this is gonna be something that Eddie is just going to happily pick up here. Edward Longshanks actually has more Voyager idle time over here. You see that there is some inefficiencies for him, but the triple stable Knights play so far works out nicely for him. Adds a couple of scouts so he can pick off Monks, as there is going to be a 3rd town center coming in here for Ivailo. Adding it on the stone mine makes me wonder if we're going to see a switch into Plumed Archers. And Plumed Archers is always something that Franks kind of struggle against, because Plumed Archers are fast, but Knights aren't particularly amazing as Plumed Archers unless they can overrun them with superior numbers. It's really the numbers that can decide the engagement in the favor of Knights, not the actual type of unit. So with that, Knights trying to bash through the walls. Pikemen will be out here, but once again mobility on the side of Edward Longshanks, and he's adding TC number 2 right now. 10 villagers lead for Ivailo, but for Eddie, if he actually gets a 3rd TC up as well soon, he should be good to go. Jumps on the Spearman. The Knights do have +1/+1, and the Spearmen have just +1 defense, so this is a technically okay fight for Ivailo. He's hoping that he can actually kill all the pikemen and then do some damage before the reinforcements arrive, but it seems like it wasn't really the case, and the Eagles and pikemen will be able to scare these Knights away for the time being. And really, right now Ivailo isn't really getting punished for his boom. It's fairly consistent 3 TC's boom from him, has some TC idle time, but eventually this will start turning into Plumed Archers. Also 29 on full with Mayans. Even if you go Eagles and pikemen, that is going to result in a fairly fast Imperial Age. 30 on food is crazy. You need like, what, 18, 20 Voyagers to make these 3 TCs work. These also do have Wheelbarrow and Boso and of course Horse Color. Other side, to look at those. Edward Longshanks has Heavy Plow, Wheelbarrow and Boso, all the eco upgrades coming in, and now he's gonna go for forward siege workshop. It looks like he's gonna try to press on, and that might make sense. His opponent doesn't really have a monastery back at home, for example, so no conversions could occur. He needs something as the pikeman, but if he brings in a monastery or a monk, he can actually heal up the knights, which would be a nice thing. And I think that here either Scorpion or Mangonel could work. Scorpion is easier to hit the opponents with. Mangonel could do a lot more damage if you do than the good ground attack. But soon Edward Longshanks has to start pushing this, because if Ivailo is given 3-4 more minutes, then he's gonna have enough stone for a defensive castle, and he will just drop a castle here to prevent the push into his base. So clock is ticking right now for Edward Longshanks for multiple reasons. his eco is weaker, and his opponent will soon have the stone required to stop the opponent from pushing into his base with siege weapons. That actually could be a good fight because the knights are jumping on the eagles. That's an excellent fight for Edward Longshanks, to be honest. He took down most of the eagles. The mangonel is still alive. There's still a lot of pikemen though firing down hills. Is the mangonel eagle trying to dive in, snipe the mangonel? This is actually a very, very good fight for Edward Longshanks. This is an amazing fight, and you see that Ivailo panic buying the stone, and he's going to drop the castle as soon as possible because he knows that he has lost this battle decisively. 20 villagers lead. He's not dead yet. This castle is actually a little bit more passive than it could possibly be, but he wanted to make sure it goes up. Still, the gold mine could be a little bit exposed. He's got 20 villagers lead and a very, very consistent food eco though, so that's something that we still have to pay attention for. And this is why I think that these fights would be somewhat uncharacteristic of Viper, to be honest. I don't think Viper would have taken that bad fight over there. Still, score is pretty close. The eco is much, much better for Ivailo though. There is going to be a free TC play from Eddie soon, so he will not fall behind by more villagers, but I think he needs to add the 4th TC even if he wants to catch up. He only has 15 on food. That's what I do not like. The farming eco for Edward Longshanks actually looks really bad. Same for the wood eco. In terms of efficiency, look at this. Ivailo's wood eco seems to be more efficient, and that's a sign towards Viper though. Viper would definitely pay attention to details, and he has the APM to pay attention to details, like replacing lumber camps fast over here, whereas you see that Edward Longshanks is a good player, but he's focused on controlling his units, and he wasn't really focusing on fixing his eco. These lumber camps are all very inefficient now. And small details like that matter. 25 villagers lead now for Ivailo as he tries to land a counter raid in here with eagles. Knights should have no trouble cleaning this one up. And now it's plumed archers. And I think the biggest thing here is that the castle is going to stall out any push that comes here with the siege weapons. And look at this. Ivailo is just waiting for the opportunity to unleash the pikemen on the unsuspecting opponent. Looking at the resources, Imperial Age is not a distant dream anymore for a blue player, and that's as bad as the previous fight was for Ivailo. This one is excellent. He's taking down all the knights here with the pikemen. Plumed archers running around, picking off the 4th village, or at least attempting to do so. And look at this absolute slaughter. I don't know what happened here to a red player, but he might have just lost the game, because he lost his entire army. It's 105 villagers against 71 and 28 army against 15, with the blue player almost ready to go into Imperial. And with that, Monk goes down, same for the Knight. There is no army on the field anymore for Edward Longshanks, and this is the moment where Ivailo could just stop making army and think about, okay, I can actually go into Imperial. Also, Ivailo has enough resources to drop a castle. He could very well drop a castle somewhere around over here, because that would clean up this forward position, but that could be a little bit risky in case he gets pushed once again. Let's see if he's going to do that. He's sending the villagers from under castle, and there is the castle indeed. That's a good castle position, because you want to make sure that this forward is cleaned up. And now there's also eagles mixed in. I like that, because just a couple of eagles could be so helpful at dealing with early mangonels, and Ivailo now playing with clinical precision. I think, yeah, Edward Longshanks just says GG. He probably realized that his triple stable play didn't really work out, looks at the score and says, okay, this is in the favor of Ivailo. And indeed, I'm starting to understand the people that are saying that Ivailo is actually Viper, because indeed we're seeing some Viper-esque moments in his gameplay. It looks pretty clean. It's not always super clean, but still, very smart, and good decision making is something that is there for Ivailo. Let's take a look at the drafts real quick over here. So Mayans are gone for Ivailo, Franks are gone for Edward Longshanks, 2 of the standard Arabia civilizations gone over here. And taking a look at the maps, Edward can go for islands and bay. Both of these actually involve a fair amount of water combat, but we'll see if Edward is actually going to go for islands first. I think, if my notes aren't correct, Edward Longshanks, I don't have anything written to him from the previous round, and Interestingly, as I said yesterday when I took my notes, I was actually saying Edward Longshanks could be Viper or Winchester. Now I'm leaning towards Ivailo indeed being for Viper. But with that, we should have game number 2 in a matter of moments. Edward will have to decide if it's well, he already decided because these games have been played and we're just casting them. But he's gonna have to decide if he wants Islands or Bay. I think based on this Arabia game, Islands might actually be a little bit more suitable for him, but it's hard to say, to be honest. So we're waiting for the next recorded game to come in over here as Ivailo is leading by 1 game. Yesterday he had a fairly decisive victory, I believe. Let me check. Obviously, this contains spoilers to the previous set. I mean, the previous one in the round of 16s. But I mean, if you are here, you already know who won that, so it doesn't really matter. So Ivailo actually 3-0'd King Bela very, very easily. So that was something to pay attention for. Funnily enough, in the previous round, Ivailo also went for Mayans on Arabia, so he's consistently picking Mayans on Arabia, 2 out of 2 so far. And Ivailo also is a player that hasn't lost a single game in this tournament yet. I will have to check, but there is no other player in this tournament. This is interesting. At least, even if we just look at the first round, there is no other player in the tournament that actually won 3-0 against the opponent. So the only player that never lost a game in this tournament so far is Ivailo. Put it wherever you want. That could be a clue to some, as we apparently are going to Islands to what is going to be the good old-fashioned Portuguese versus Italians scenario here. Portuguese red with Longshanks in red to the north, and to the south it is going to be Ivailo in blue and Italians. So we have seen this matchup so many times in the qualifiers, and every time we see it, what we see is that the Portuguese are just able to outlast Italians over here. If this goes into post-Imperial, where the 2 players are even, the Portuguese will win guaranteed. So Italians need to win the game early, or potentially use their Castle Age or Imperial Age Power Spike to win water. Otherwise, they stand no chance. The Portuguese galleons are cheaper, they are stronger in terms of HP, in terms of pierce armor once they get Karak. So galleon war, there is no way Italians win that. The only way that they can win it in this matchup is by either winning water early on, and that could be the case, or using their power spikes very well. So getting to Castle Age faster, getting to Imperial faster, and beating the opponent with fast fireships. Still, I feel like from what we have seen in Hidden Cup 4 qualifiers so far, I think that Portuguese is actually a little bit more reasonable water civ currently for this map. So with that, we are gonna have Ivailo coming in with Italians. That should be a disadvantage. But indeed, it's worth pointing out that if this is Viper, then Viper is actually super strong on islands. Currently, what we suspect is that Ivailo is Viper and Edward is Bhakti. And Bhakti is a very, very good water player as well, but probably not as good as the Snake himself. Early deer push coming in here for Edward Longshanks. That's actually a pretty hard deer push to do because the gold is kind of blocking it. But other than that, the map for Edward Longshanks is actually decent. Both of the gold mines are fairly safe, the stone mines are okay-ish, even though this one is not great. These wood lines are bad, because they can be denied by water galleys later on. Same for this one. This is a good wood line, the rest of them are not super amazing, so not a great island for Edward Longshanks. This wood line is very bad for Ivailo, same for nothing else, to be honest. The rest of the wood lines are actually very well workable for Ivailo, and his gold mine here is nice. This gold mine is pretty awful though, same for this stone mine, and this is going to be a stone mine here as well. Edward could be the Gao, could be. I will have to rewatch it though. I'll have to rewatch the Arabia game for the borders to see if that's the case. Or we need to see another land map with borders. If I see, I can identify Dogao if I see him. But I haven't paid attention to the borders in the first game. And you need a hybrid map for that, or you need a land map for that. Because the hybrid build order that Dokayo is using is the same as other players. It's just the land build order being a slightly different. So we're gonna have a side dock play over here for Ivayo. That's a beautiful dock in the corner. It's going to access a lot of deep fish, and it's also suitable for what is probably going to be a galley play. Makes some sense, because Portuguese probably want to play with their own galleys as well as soon as possible, so we are going to see probably galley wars, although it looks like Edward Longshanks actually wants to go for fire galleys. 5 on wood for Eddie, no surprise about that. That is sort of a clue that he wants to just play standard water, though. Because if it was a landing, he would probably only go for 3 or 4 on wood. It kind of seems like this is just going to be a standard Portuguese fire galley rush, whereas on the other side, it looks like Ivailo is actually playing with galleys. Interesting is the fact that he's splitting up his fishing ships so early, and he's also sending out a Voyager here for a house. Interesting. What is Ivaio up to? How do Caravos do against galleons? Depending on how much the galleons stack. And you also have to observe the price of these units. So, Italian galleons actually cost you... Let me check the cost for that. Italian galleons cost 90 wood, 30 gold, whereas Portuguese caravels actually cost 90 wood, 43 gold. So, caravels are a little bit more gold heavy, which is something that you also have to consider. If the galleons stack up, then the caravels will shred them. But if the galleons are nicely spread out, then the caravels will just die to galleons. And also, cost efficiency is something that you have to consider. So, in general, it's rare to see caravels fighting as galleons, because gold is a precious resource on this map. And if you use your galleons right and don't stack them up on top of each other, then caravels shouldn't really be much better than galleons. So, interesting is Ivailo's game plan over here, and he is going up with a crazy fish boom here. Now, once again, I'm trying to refrain from guessing players too much, but this feels like a crazy-ish build to be Viper, to be honest, because look at this, 33 eco, but we also have some special things over here for Edward Longshanks bringing in the landing. And honestly, I think that he might know who he's up against. And he probably knows that he doesn't want to go for water, but oh, that's probably the biggest failure landing ever. I'm fairly certain Ivailo has spotted that transport. Yes, indeed. He saw the transport. The thing is that Edward Longshanks tried to be sneaky, but I think he estimated his opponent to spawn somewhere around over here. So TC being here, this would have been a good landing. He didn't expect his opponent to be this much on the right side of the map, and this is gonna be a big failure as a landing. Loom is in as well for Ivailo, as we're gonna have a tower coming in. The transport will be here to try and transport some scouts around, but the unit control for Ivailo looks very sharp over here. And Eddie is trying his best with this landing, but I feel like if you take a look at this, this is actually a fast castle. I was thinking about a fast castle for Ivailo, but it didn't seem like he's gonna be able to afford it. I'm not sure if this was the original plan for Edward Longshanks, or if it actually was just a reaction to the civilization matchup. But I have to say that this is gonna be a pretty clean, fast castle. In fact, he's got more food than he needs with Italians. His fish boom is crazy. Now, there's a fire galley coming in, and that could be problematic for Ivailo. And the scouts also were transported inside. Stable comes in here for Eddie. And same for Ivailo. Now there's a spearman coming in to defend, and you see that Ivailo is sort of panicking a little bit over here. I like that he spread out his fishing eco. That's a good decision. And this is definitely anti-meta. I think Leary's name was potentially also mentioned for Ivailo. Leary would never do such a thing. Leary would never do this sort of out-of-the-box, double-dock fast castle thing. This is a fairly... Honestly, this is the first time I'm seeing this build order, so it might be brand new or just super rare, but it seems like Ivailo is actually going to benefit from that because some of his fishing eco is untouched and he probably doesn't want to show that to his opponent just yet. Makes his own fire galley, now splits up his ships, and he's gonna have fire galley coming from this direction as well. He wants to split this fire galley from this one. Even if he loses some fishing ships, he could be alright, because he's on the way to Castle Age in a matter of moments. Or at least he wants to be on the way, but because he had to rebuild the lumber camp, he's gonna have to go for blacksmith, so this is gonna be delayed a little bit. Now an archer range coming here for Eddie, and Edward Longshanks is actually doing nice pressure over here. The question is, will he be able to compensate for Ivailo potentially being up to Castle Age a lot faster? And there is actually a dock here from Edward Longshanks, so he's actually making fire galleys right over here. Scouts from Ivailo actually unable to kill the Voyager over there, so the range is definitely gonna go up. Defensive tower might actually come in here for Ivailo. That's actually a pretty aggressive tower to pretty much make that archer range fairly useless. Castle Age on the way for Ivailo as he's trying to save his fishing ships. Here what you do is send this fishing ship to the other side, and that means that this fire galley is going to just chase that, and the other two will be safe, and the other two can loop all the way around and go over here. Still, this is an untouched fishing eco for Ivailo, and that's something that shouldn't be underestimated. So technically he still has the equal, and more importantly, he's going into Castle Age. And when he reaches Castle Age, he can just make a knight or so and clean up everything that could be thrown at him. So archers, scouts die very, very easily to knights. Nice move from Edward Longshanks with the fire galleys being used to kill the scouts, but still, this should be enough for Ivailo to hold against this one. Double bait axe in for both players, but look at Edward Longshanks, he's nowhere close to clicking up to Castle Age. And this is what I was talking about. If the Italians can use their power spikes well, suddenly it looks like a very, very good matchup. And this is the moment where Eddie is going to find this corner, but there is enough ships here for Ivailo to hold this one. In fact, he's going to sandwich this fleet of Edward Longshanks in between his two fleets, and the scout isn't going to be able to pick off the repair Voyager either. So this is a nice win over there, and at the end of the day, it's 5 fire galleys versus soon 5 fire ships. And obviously the fire ships will be a lot better. And considering that Ivailo also made a stable here, he could make 2 knights and transport them to the opponent's island. Here's the transport indeed. A counter landing is always an option like that, and Edward Longshanks knows that really well. He knows exactly that his opponent is up to Castle Age, and the first thing that's gonna cross the mind of Ivailo is actually going to be transporting 2 knights to the opponent's island. And that is one of the reasons why you make your barracks back at home, even if you're landing with a stable with range. You don't just land and drop a barracks, because that barracks might be helpful back at home, and you also want to drop the range and stable immediately after landing. So it looks like we're going to have some more archers coming in, but I mean, Ivailo has a defensive tower, so unless he is not paying attention, it's not going to be possible for Edward Longshanks to push this position. But even if that's the case, we're gonna have some knights coming out, and it looks like Scout Voyager is coming in as well, so there will be a forward siege workshop too. In fact, the knight won't be transported through, it's just a Voyager. It's just going to be a villager probably for a forward siege workshop, and now the fire ships will start pushing out. Another fire ship will pop out in a moment, and this is the moment where Ivailo needs to take over in water. There could be a siege workshop back at home to defend, as the fire ships are coming in. These are low HP fire ships, so they won't be able to kill the transport with the archers around, but they might be able to pick off the fishing ships, which by the way are taking shorefish, which is far from efficient. So it looks like these fire ships are actually meant to surround this fleet over here. 5 fire galleys versus 6 fire ships right now. And Ivailo was still able to preserve a lot of his fishing eco. He has 8 fishing ships compared to 3. That's actually a very, very good fishing ship count. And this could also be a couple of fishing ships going down. Ivailo has a crazy control over this game. Edward Longshanks is going to Castle Age, but I feel like this is the moment where Ivailo's fishing eco is going to start kicking in, because now it's completely untouched once again. He destroys the opponent's fire ships, and now, thanks to those fishing ships from Edward Longshanks, he's going to be aware that his opponent has a siege workshop on here. But how do you defend against that? You don't have anything back at home. Fire ships once again taking down the fire galleys, as the knights get a good surround on the archers, and the Voyager isn't going to survive as well. These knights have +1 defense, which is just enough to edge this out. Everywhere I look, Ivailo is beating his opponent here. So, fire ships now just absolutely massacring the fishing eco, and this landing is gone. This landing is pretty much gone. There is 5 military on the field for Edward Longshanks, and now the transport can go back home even though, where's the transport at? The transport is still there, isn't it? Nope, the transport apparently was killed by a fire galley, because it is now gone. So you have to make a new one. A sneaky fire galley is coming in here from Edward Longshanks to pressure the food eco here, but now you can move the fishing to the right side if you need. Bloodlines on the way as well. Mangonel comes in. A spearman is actually trying to poke down the Mangonel, but Mangonel will just try to get close to the shoreline where the fire ships can help out. There is only 5 fire galleys for Edward Longshanks over here. Second TC coming up on a gold mine for Ivaio to secure that position. And the transport actually gets past the fire ship here. It's only 37 HP, so apparently the fire galley did quite a lot of damage to it. But it sneaks past. Edward Longshanks wasn't actually able to click that transport, so he didn't actually start chasing it. And the reason why he wasn't able to click it is because he's too busy not dying over here. I like this move. This market also being burned down over time helps quite a bit for Edward Longshanks. It's a fairly low HP, although it's kind of intermediate HP, so to say, for this fire ship. But taking down that market actually helps quite a bit, because your opponent might be in the need to balance eco soon. He might be in the need to buy stone for a castle, and you see that he isn't actually having a war galley upgrade in. He can't get war galley, and as things stand, there will be only one dock out there for Edward Longshanks. Now knights are inside his eco. He went for a monastery, but there is Mangonel supporting, so the Mangonel can pick off the monk. Knights have been transported through as well, and the siege workshop from Ivaio should be able to clean up this aggression here, especially the range is the important one. And I think that now Ivaio can just actually start turning this into full-on water combat. He still needs to make sure he doesn't lose his fishing eco, because apparently he's losing some of it, but 5 Vultures lead is still there for him. Knight trying to get the monk killed. That's a little bit potato from Ivaio over there. Loses 1 knight to conversion, and you have to be careful about that, because the knight will just try to dive in on the Mangonel. Indeed, this was a little bit sloppy from Ivaio, but still, he's actually going to take down the market. He's going to take down these buildings. So I don't think that Ivaio needs to be super aggressive right now. He can just sit on the lead that he has possessed. And look at that, it's 2 Vultures on food for Longshanks. He isn't really able to make Vultures even. So he's just going to keep falling behind more and more. Nice quick quotes from Eddie. But yeah, market going down, so you won't even buy food here. There's just going to be pure TC idle time. And you also have to add the fact that these buildings will go down. The stable, the blacksmith. Eventually this dock should also go down. I wonder, Ivaio should know about that, right? Yeah, Ivaio clearly sees it, but he isn't actually attacking it right now. Knight actually will be deleted before conversion. Mangonel will start shutting that TC. It's not really going to do much. It's more about denying these farming spaces with the Mangonel, to be honest. There's a Mangonel on the way as well for Edward Longshanks. But battering ram already knocking down the buildings. 61 Vultures compared to 49. The landing, we can safely say, didn't work out for Edward. And it looks like we don't really have a big investment on water right now for Ivaio. So he's gonna wait, probably just sitting on his lead right now, adding additional TCs. And he knows exactly that it's probably better to just contest the opponent's island, be a little bit more aggressive. But I think he's also thinking about Imperial. And if you get the Imperial here with fast fires or potentially even galleons, you can just finish the game off, I believe. Especially if you look at all these wood lines, all of these could be denied by war galleys. We talked about that. So one of the drawbacks that Edward Longshanks is having from this position of his opponent here is that he's forced to take the wood over here, here. Potentially the gold could be denied as well. So a lot of resources are already denied from him on this side. And the other side could be problematic as well. This is a little bit sloppy though from Ivaio. Losing a lot of fishing ships overall. And if you actually look at the Eco KD, that's better for Edward. Nice move over there though to drag away the opponent's fire ships with your fishing ship. And did we actually indeed have a relic steal? Yes, indeed we had. So Ivaio taking away relic from the opponent's island. Preparing for late game, a very, very Viper-like move. He isn't the only one doing this nowadays, but that's definitely something that he was among the first players that actually started doing this. Like, grab every bit of advantage, like steal a relic from the opponent whatsoever. Now it's fire ships for Edward Longshanks, and he is still killing fishing ships left and right, so I think that Ivaio is a bit underinvesting into his fleet. Not by a massive margin, so it's not really a big deal. But still, he needs to be careful not to lose his fishing eco. So, yeah, it's definitely not Leary. Leary probably wouldn't go for this double dock fast castle play. Leary would go something standard. If he goes fast castle, he goes for the standard fast castle build. Now, this castle over here will actually go up, and that is going to result... It's gonna go up. Fireships will try to delay this one, but they can't stop it. This is gonna go up, which takes down this dock from Edward Longshanks. Edward Longshanks has another dock over here, and he transports a monk and a mangonel through. In here, we will have Ivailo with the second relic and from the third one as well. Once that the castle goes up, you're actually going to start dropping docks, and you see the resources climbing for Ivailo. He is soon going to start thinking about Imperial Age and fast fires. His opponent isn't far away from Imperial Age himself though, but it's a 20 villagers deficit though. So with that, Edward Longshanks right now is on one dock, and yeah, that's only one dock. His opponent's the 20 villagers lead, although I have to say, as I said, that Ivailo isn't really doing a great job protecting his fishing eco. Fishing ships are dying right after another. So, look at this. Another fishing ship goes down, and he has lost 18 eco compared to just 5. Really, he hasn't been doing an excellent job at preserving his eco. It's not really a big deal for him right now because he still has a 20 villagers lead, but it's still something. By the way, I just completely forgot about these guys. Yeah, like, I don't wanna rewind time all the way because I don't know when this happened, but I feel like this is a thing that only 2 players do. Hera and Viper. He actually trapped the monk and the villager in here with some palisade walls. The monastery is actually going to go down, and in fact all of the buildings on this island will go down and these villagers will be free, but still, those are moves that only Viper would do. Another defensive castle coming in here for Edward on the other side of the island, and it looks like with his play, he's actually teching most likely into fast fires, although he's not really making a lot of them, but he's also not teching into fletching and bodkins, so it's not going to be galleons. On the other side though, you have to be careful, because Portuguese are still scared, and I did mention that Portuguese in post-Imperial will clap Italians. And if you take a look at this, Imperial Age is actually better for Edward Longshanks. Now, it looks like Ivaio is actually going to take away the gold from the middle islands. We're going to have Edward actually securing the middle island over here, as indeed the relic haste is going to happen. And I wonder when we are going to see a potential condottieri play from Ivailo, because he has already teched into iron casting, which to me is a signal that he wants condos. This is actually a nice position here. Look at this. Edward Longshanks actually walled in the villagers alongside 2 monks, so he can actually keep that scout alive with the monks healing. Still, indeed, +2 defense for infantry. It's really a condo play, but where are the condos coming from? Faetorias for Edward Longshanks, so whoever he is, he actually looked at the qualifiers, seeing how Faetorias are good. Careening and fast fire ship on the way, so indeed it's a fast fire play from Ivailo, and he could actually afford dry dock right after that. University just now coming in, and he's bringing a mangonel to deal with the monks and the voyager over here. He's still just trying to kill those monks to finish off the landing. Finishes off one monk, finishes off the second monk, and now the scout is going to be able to kill the voyager. So this landing is officially over, and now it is time for Ivailo to do his thing. He's going to have the fast fires in shipwright coming in quite soon, and those have just been converted into galleons, but still that's quite a lot of fast fires. And even though fire ships are actually a nice meat shield for fast fires, I think that the galleons are supposed to be better here for Edward Longshanks, and he can also go for demos. So I feel like we're getting to the stage where Italians are supposed to have trouble against Portuguese. Faetorias are already in, I like that decision. Another castle comes in for Edward Longshanks, and Edward Longshanks is actually the player with the island in the middle, so it seemed like Ivailo was stomping him, but Ivailo is teching in all the possible upgrades. He techs plate mail, he techs light calf, but what for? Like, if he gets a landing in, it's going to be a strong landing, but he needs a landing first for that. And I mean, arson even. Where will the condottieri pop? That's the real question. We have 2 transports even queued up for Ivailo. Is he actually making them back at home or what? No, he's not. He seems like he's very, very patient with the landing. He doesn't want to show his hand right now. But I really wonder where the landing is going to occur. Fast fires are in. There is going to be Pavisa even. What is Ivailo doing? Is he going for all technologies researched or what? Pavisa is an upgrade for Arbalest Genoese crossbows. He went for infantry upgrades. He's going for conscription. That's alright. Botkin for galleons. He went for Botkin. And really there is still nothing over here. So we're gonna have the fast fires diving in now. Blast furnace now. Once again, I just don't know. Oh, here's the transport. So he actually was waiting until he can actually land. But where is he going to land? This is his best landing spot. Until this castle is standing, the transport isn't gonna be able to get there. He's definitely moving in with the transport right now as he's distracting his opponent. And you see why I'm saying the Portuguese were just clap Italians here. I still don't know if tacking into all the light calf condottieri was a good idea before actually getting any of them on the field. Because if you don't get any of them on the field, it doesn't matter how well the upgrade they are. 10 condottieri with no upgrades is still better than no condottieri with 5 upgrades. And now it is going to be Ivailo going for his galleons. You have to start putting him on a timer because he's up against Portuguese that actually has lower gold cost on the galleons. There is no Karak or Careening in for Longshanks though. Careening just now coming in. And that castle is going down dangerously fast. That's a nice move from Ivailo. An extremely important castle to take down. Defensive castle coming in for Ivailo. Nice reactions, gating those barracks in. But he is gonna be once again dropped off with the villagers. Now it's more barracks. We're gonna have ranges coming in here for Edward. To react to this one, once again quick wars are coming in. And the thing is that now these ships are still fairly even though it's not completely even because the Portuguese ships are still slightly better. But now it is Ivailo pushing the war, and more importantly, another landing on the left side. It's a two-pronged attack. While he's busy fighting over here in the middle, while he's busy just defending against these, this is the real landing. And Edward Longshanks knows about this one, but how do you stop this? And the condottieri will soon flood the gold mine. Very, very nice quick pause, by the way, from Longshanks, but the name of the game will soon be wood control. Where is Longshanks going to get the wood from? Because he's gonna have saved gold, but once this wood line runs out, he's gonna have no wood. He lost like half of his island, and reclaiming it is gonna be insanely hard. He's trying to deck into crossbows and go for a couple of organ guns, but organ guns won't work because condottieri is meant to be destroying gunpowder units. Arbalests will work, but it's a big investment, takes a lot of time and effort to tech into. Guard tower for Longshanks to secure the middle island, and now I'm starting to like the position of Ivailo a lot more. And you see that Longshank is so busy that he didn't even notice that this castle is being constructed, and he could easily stop this. He could have stopped this castle if he focuses down the villages. 2 villager castle. 2 villager castle versus 11 galleons. But the castle goes up. And the reason why is because Edward Longshanks has to deal so much with this aggression, had to deal with this aggression, this one, and he also has to deal with now Trebs being landed here. I have to say that indeed I'm getting closer and closer to saying that it's Viper. Like, this is multitasking in post-Imperial is brutal. It was a calm before the storm when I said that he's not really pushing, because now it is, he's just everywhere. Trebs on the right, Trebs on the left, and really, he knows how to finish off this game. He's not just going to land and say, okay, I'm here, and then maybe let his opponent defend that landing. He's gonna make sure that when he lands, his landing is going to work out. And now that the castle is gone, the war galleys can dive in, and guess what? Edward Longshanks is gonna have no wood control. Really, right now Ivailo is just everywhere, and now replenishing that fleet is gonna be troublesome for Longshanks. He's still got 2,000 wood in the bank, but see, now that Longshanks is distracted fighting on land, he's not gonna be able to micro his galleons, and that means that we are gonna have many of those going down to fireships. Look at this! The Trebs are being set up right next to the villagers. Oh my goodness, and now they're taking down TCs. The reason why you focus TCs is because you want to make sure that the condos aren't getting killed by those. It is still 32 galleons versus 31 over here, but I feel like map control is what is in the favor of Ivaio right now. Fireship's also here to soak up some damage, and without Karak, those galleons aren't that much better than the ones from Ivaio, and I think Ivaio knows exactly that his opponent only has wood over here, because he sees how many Voyagers are in here, and this should be a GG in 5 seconds. Because there is more galleons queued up, but I think Longshanks is running out of numbers here. He has 12 ships on the fleet against 27, and look at that, that's all the Voyagers dead, no map control. Edward Longshanks loses the second one in a row on islands, and Ivaio looks like an absolute beast. I am 90% sure now this is Viper. I didn't want to commit to this one before the series, but the strategy choice with the double dock fast castle, the surgical precision execution of this game, really, the way he finished this game with the multitasking is absolutely crazy. And with that, now it's just a matter of time. I mean, Edward Longshanks will try to outlast his opponent with Phaetorias, but that's just not going to happen. Also, Ivaio is going for all the technologies, Redemption included, and like, the docks are now slowly going down. I'm not even sure why he's going for Redemption, probably because he's fighting bombard cannons, but he's castle dropping this wood line, bombard cannons taking down the ranges. Wherever I look, Ivaio is just stomping his opponent now. So, yeah, I mean, this game is over. This game is over. 132 population, but that includes Phaetorias. And the thing is that you might actually try to just salvage this game with Phaetorias, you know, try to stall it out. But I feel like Ivaio is pushing too fast for this game to stall out with Phaetorias. And with that, that is Ivaio taking game number 2 over here in a fairly decisive manner. The only player that hasn't lost a single game so far in the tournament is going to be our blue player over here. We'll go back to the lobby and add another score to Ivaio, and I will probably already start adding Ivaio as Viper for my guesses. I feel like what we have seen here, not just the execution, but the strategy choice as well, is absolutely very, very Viper-like. Opponent is a bigger question. Could be Vilas, could be Bhakti, maybe Dogao. Hard to say right now. I don't really have a good clue for Edward Longshanks. I have ideas, but I'm really unsure. Could it be Leary? Unlikely. Leary would not pick Islands as his home map. This was Edward Longshanks' home map. We're looking for a player that actually picks Islands as his home map. And I would think that Vilas would probably not be picking Islands either. So that's why I was leaning towards Dogao a little bit. But it's a very, very small clue right now. So Italians beating Portuguese in this one, a rare occasion, so to say. And next up is going to be the second home map of Edward Longshanks, which is Bay. Could be Lithuanians or Mongols for Ivaio over here. He's got the 2 potentially top civilizations available for this map. Other side, I feel like it is gonna be Malay, maybe Vikings, but whatever Edward Longshanks does, with either Malay or Vikings, I like Mongols or Lithuanians better on this map. I think it's better for Lithuanians right now, and then you can go Mongols on slopes. Or the alternative is that you go Mongols here and you go Khmer on slopes. The versatility is there for Ivaio. This is also a very, very nice draft. Something that, once again, could reinforce the theory of Ivaio being Viper, that his draft is very well rounded. So Lithuanians could be here, Lithuanians could be potentially on slopes even, but all of these civilizations like Mongols, Khmer, Lithuanians are all good for slopes, bay, and bypass could also be a possibility for Khmer. We have game number 1 or game number 3 coming in here. So let me download the save game file, and we will jump into game number 3 as we are going to Bay. We will have Capture Age. Hello. Okay, that was weird, but Capture Age fixed itself, so we're good to go. So Edward Longshanks is playing. Wait a second. Did they flip colors? That's prize money reduction if that's the case. I think they lose 5% prize money for messing up colors. Edward Longshanks is now blue, and Ivailo is playing in red, but we're not gonna let the players screw us over. And thanks to the wonders of Capture Age, now we're back to Ivailo being blue and Edward Longshanks being red. But they seem to mess up the colors right now over here. So Ivailo on the right side playing as Lithuanians in blue. Left side is going to be Edward Longshanks playing as a red Malay. And it seems like we have a very, very aggressive laming attempt coming in here for Longshanks. He knows exactly that he's gonna be in trouble if he doesn't do some damage early on to his opponent, because so far he has been outplayed pretty hard in all of the games. So with that, there is going to be one piggy lamed away. But not really much, to be honest, and Ivailo could very well just get that back. Fast Dock coming in here for Ivailo, so he's already sending out the Voyager. And the thing is that Malay have nice power spikes, but I overall like Lithuanians here a lot more. The potential in the relics, the skirmishers against the crossbowman and arbalest play of Malay. Oh, I feel like Lithuanians just give you a lot more options than possibly Malay. Anyways, it looks like Ivaio is going to take the first hit on his scout. Bit of a scout dancing over here, as I believe Edward Longshanks might be thinking about laming a boar or potentially trying to block a Voyager. The dock is already up. Lithuanians fast dock play coming in here. At the end, there was one piggy lamed away from Ivaio, but that's not the end of the world. That's completely fine, I would say. And indeed, Edward Longshanks is waiting for a Voyager. He's waiting for a Voyager, which would mean that Ivaio needs to go for Loom first to bring in the boars. And he also needs to pull his scout most likely to do that. With that, he's already getting fishing ship number 1 up over here, which is nice and persistent eco advantage over the opponent in Dark Age. This is the power of the Lithuanian fast dog build over here. There's only 2 civs that can do this really fast dog build. Lithuanians is the best of them, and Persians the other. Let's see if Edward can actually block the boar. Nice reaction over there for Ivaio. Once again, Edward tried it, and I don't blame him for it, but at the end of the day, he actually failed to do so. He will try to do it with the other boar as well, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Ivaio just getting Loom, or maybe even trying to go for it without Loom. With that being said, it looks like Ivaio is going to send his scout forward, and he wants to punish his opponent for that dock as well. I think he just missed out on that Voyager though. So that was actually very unlucky for Ivailo, because he could have actually potentially picked off that Voyager. Now it is Voyager walled in, so that's not going to happen. But I guess what's going to happen indeed is Ivailo is going to attack these walls, and that forces Edward Longshanks to look here. And while he's looking there, he tries to lure in the boar. I was expecting Ivailo to do something like this. Now this is a little bit riskier for Ivailo, as the scout is still lurking over there, tries to block the Voyager. Nice micro so far from Ivailo, but that is a weak Voyager. De-aggroes the board there. Oh my goodness. What is this execution? What is this? I mean, everybody knows who this guy is. Everybody knows from this one. I don't think we need to really look deeper into this one. I think this last 1 minute has clearly shown what he can do. Razor sharp reflexes indeed. He might not always be right, but I think that we all know who this is. This also confirms another player, by the way, if you think about that. I'm not going to say the names because, as I said, these are technically spoiler-free compared to the other sets. But things are starting to shape out now, because we had one player that was between Viper and Jordan, and now that we are fairly certain that this is probably Viper, Jordan is probably someone that we also found. Anyways, we're gonna have a faster click up here by Ivaio, no surprise about that. He went for 5 fishing chips, so he really wants to have that pawn for himself, even a 6th one. Which means that he's confident that he's able to win the water, because you don't go for 6 fishing chips if you don't know for sure that you are gonna win water. Pickup is gonna be later for Edward Longshanks over here. As we are gonna have here it is. So Edward Longshanks coming in with the feudal age. Still, Lithuanians beating Malay into feudal is a nice advantage over there for them. One of the reasons why Lithuanians might be slightly better than Mongols in this one is because Lithuanians can actually go up to feudal a little faster than Mongols, I believe. Although it depends on how much hunt or how much you can prioritize hunt in Dark Age. If you can take your boars early and potentially even push in a deer from here, Mongols think can beat Lithuanians into feudal age. But Mongols and Lithuanians are definitely the two civilizations that are reasonable for beating Malay into feudal, and that is extremely important. It looks like we only have one dock from Ivaio though, and a mill, interestingly. So I guess the game plan here for Ivailo is that he wants to get as much fish as he can, and then he's just going to try with one fire galley. And the idea probably is that the pond runs out of fish relatively fast if there is 6 fishing ships from one player. And he probably doesn't want to really fight a lot on water. It's all about, okay, let's grab as much fish as we can. But you see that, as I said, his side of the lake is almost out of fish already. So that's probably the game plan here, that he might just say, as the scout from Edward Longshanks is 1 HP now thanks to that fire galley, he might just say, okay, I'm gonna take as many deep fish as I can. And from that point on, I'm just gonna give up on the water. There's this forward voyager coming in, and it looks like Edward Longshanks, considering that he sees the one dock, he knows exactly it's going to be an aggressive play. So he actually starts volleying himself up. For Ivailo, that is probably going to be a forward archer range, if you ask me. Fire galleys being taken down over here, and the galley from Ivailo means that he doesn't really want to fight at the water anymore. He wants to go and snipe the fishing ships of the opponent. As I mentioned though, his side of the pond is almost empty out of fish. So, yes, his fishing eco will be lost, but, I mean, what you're counting on here is that you get as much fish as you possibly can, and then pretty much just let those fishing ships die. It's not ideal, but when the pond runs out of fish, it's not going to be a lot helpful for the other players either. So that is probably the idea. Over here, forward range coming in here, barracks on the way as well for Edward Longshanks. For his own skirmishers, but look at the resources. That's what I was talking about, the 6 fishing ships coming in clutch, and 2 galleys will pop out. They will go for fishing eco of our red player, and you see that Edward Longshanks actually wants to go for quite a lot of fishing now. Basically, Ivaio has consumed the majority of the fish on his side, so there is not much left for him on his own side, only on the opponent's side. And as I said, he will just try to even go for the 3rd galley over here. Once again, it's a patient player. He knows exactly when to move out, even lames away the stone from the opponent. This is a very underrated thing to do. The only really accessible stone mine for Edward Longshanks is going to be lamed away here, which could be problematic later on. And now that the archers will start pushing the berries, watch out, he's going to pop out the galleys right now. The timings are so sharp for our blue player here. He knows exactly that he's pushing this side and his opponent has to look here, which means he can dive in with the galleys and pick off the fishing ships. Now obviously the Malay will still have the better eco because they take less time to go up into the next stage, so the voyager count is going to be higher, and this push wasn't really that amazing, to be honest, from our blue player. So there is still 3 fishing ships alive. Over here another galley is going to be added to finish these off. But now the berries are gone, and if you look at the food eco for Ivaio, the thing is that his food eco is alright. He's got double bit-axe horse color for his food eco. And the thing is that when or if these fishing ships die or run out of resources here, suddenly the food eco for Edward Longshanks is going to be much weaker. He's forced to drop a lot of farms without horse color because he's off from the berries. And the berries are a very, very underrated thing right now. Having 4 extra voyages on food thanks to the berries is actually a nice one to have. And now this galley is going to dive in, go for a fishing eco. There is quite a lot of weak fishing ships here, so nice micro over there from our blue player once again. Finishing off the first one, finishing off the second fishing ship as well. The rest of them are full HP, so it's going to be harder to kill them. But still, Ivaio keeps applying pressure over there, and now he's going to have a demo, so he wants to demo snipe the fishing ships now. Market wall coming in here from Eddie. And one thing that we have to consider is that Edward Longshanks doesn't have a lot of wood at the back. In fact, he has very, very limited amount of wood at the back. So these woodlands being denied can be really annoying. And if you look at the resources for Ivailo, as he demo snipes 2 fishing ships over there as well, he is gonna be able to go up into the next age in a matter of moments. And it could be just, you know, probably crossbows forward with a siege workshop, but also at least 2 TCs behind, and potentially relic collection as well. That's probably the game plan over here for Ivaio. Archers now coming in for Edward Longshanks. And looking at the upgrades, it looks like we already have fletching for Ivaio, no fletching for our red player, and more importantly, Ivaio is on the way to Castle Age. That being said, Edward Longshanks will also be on the way to Castle Age, and he's Malay, so I think he's gonna be able to catch up. In fact, he's gonna beat his opponent into Castle Age here by 20 seconds. Still, it looked like for a moment it's gonna be a double stable play for Ivaio. He might just play with one stable for now. And it looks like Eddie is going to retain 4 fishing ships in the moment where Ivaio's dock is now gone. So what's the plan now for Ivaio? He's actually getting a scout out, and I think this is just leftover scout from Dark Age, but it's a 1 HP scout from Eddie and almost full for Ivaio, which means Edward Longshanks will lose his scout. That's actually important because Ivaio doesn't want his opponent to know what he's doing, and he doesn't really know that either. Oh, look at this. This is once again beautiful. Beautiful. One skirmisher, Lithuanian fast moving skirm, chasing down these archers here. And in the meanwhile, the archers are pushing this woodland. It's not necessarily about the villager kills. It's about the idle time forced on those villagers. There's going to be a stable coming in as well. Crossbow on the way as well for Longshanks, who's going to play double ranges over here apparently. And in the meanwhile, we will have just 1 TC for Ivaio, no forward siege workshop, as I'm saying that here it comes. These will be crossbows, and this might be a denied siege workshop though, although if there is 1 or 2 knights with +1 or +2 defense, this should be alright. Nice reaction from Ivaio running away with the Voyager. I think 1 knight isn't going to be enough. If you get 2 knights here, they should be able to stop this one. The crossbows also are successful sneaking to the right side, Botkin on the way right now for Longshanks, and once again, Ivaio knows exactly about the timing. He knows he can't fight against 5 crossbows with 1 knight, he will need 2. 1 knight over here is coming in as well for Longshanks. He doesn't have any upgrades on those. Nice quick wall once again from Ivaio, and now the knights will actually try to jump on the crossbows. The crossbows will head towards the water, but the knights will just change their mind and go for this knight, as Ivaio really wants to finish that siege workshop. Second TC on the way for Ivaio. In fact, it's a 3rd TC already. He's got a 2nd one up, and I think that these crossbows won't arrive in time to stop that TC. And now indeed the siege workshop is coming in, and the next thing I believe for Ivaio is indeed a monastery. He's gonna start moving out for the relics as well. Once again, Ivaio seems to be playing this one with very clean precision. So knights now coming back. Apparently there is a couple of crossbows here to clean up, but really these crossbows won't be doing much of a damage. Maybe they can pick off 1 or 2 villagers, but there's gonna be mangonels pushing soon here from Ivaio, supported by knights. And I think that these knights can clean up these crossbows quite nicely. There is a 10 villagers lead, by the way, for Edward Longshanks, something that we shouldn't underestimate. And he has the power of the Malay fish traps. So this game is not over yet, but his opponent is going to be on 3 TCs. And I think the real problem here is going to be Lithuanian knights with all the attack bonus for them Wobby. A demo here, and well, that was sort of underwhelming. Demo Raft actually just damaging the knights over here, but really didn't really do much. And now the monks will heal up the rest. It's gonna be quite a lot of crossbows traded for just 1 knight or so. And now the knight is going to dive in. That's 1 hit for that crossbow, so it's gonna go down. And once again, Ivaio is waiting for 1 big push to pile up. He's gonna wait until like 2 or 3 mangonels, and he's gonna wait until he's got like 5 knights over here, and then launch this attack. Remember, his opponent doesn't have extra stone, as now the crossbows are moving out. Still just +1 defense for Ivaio. No +2 defense coming in whatsoever. Knights will clean up the fire ships over here on the shoreline, and Ivaio actually wants to redock. And the reason why he wants to do that is because he knows he's up against Malay, and those Malay fish trap with the infinite food will actually be really problematic. Now 2 monks are out as well for Longshanks, as Ivaio is going to see this counterattack. Let's see if he dives in here. I think he has to now, and oh, That was a lucky conversion RNG, let's say that, to Longshanks. Gets 2 knights instantly. And now the knights here from Ivailo are actually getting picked off, and this is the first time we're seeing Ivailo being really sloppy in this series. Mistake after mistake happening over here. As the scout now comes out to deal with the mangonels, and the converted knights will just get rid of them very, very easily. So this is actually great for Longshanks. Nice splits over there. Trades off essentially 2 crossbows to 2 mangonels. So Ivailo, I think, actually wants to do more than he's capable of currently. Like, I like that he's picking up relics, that's great, he already is sitting on 1 relic. But I feel like it would have been better to just focus on this push instead of trying to go back on board as well. We're gonna have another siege workshop in here. Ivailo is making knights though, and that's not something that you should underestimate. So he's waiting for the opportunity once again to jump outside, and look at that crazy relic collection. He's already moving out for this relic, he's gonna be sitting on 4 relics very, very easily. And he's behind by 5 villagers, but the eco upgrades are fairly comparable. So the eco is slightly better for Longshanks, but it's not that much better. And remember that Ivailo is already on 3 TCs, so he could catch up. And it's going to be double ranges, so we're going to see most likely skirms. Scout here is actually going to get converted once again. Look at this. Drops the relic, converts the scout, picks up the relic once again. It is just absolutely amazing over here. And that's already relic number 2 or 3 coming in. It's actually relic number 2. But relic number 3 will soon be on the way, and I think that monk is actually going for... That monk is actually going for relic number 4 all the way around. Our blue player actually wants 5 relics here for himself. And War Galley is in, and we have to keep in mind that there's only 2 fire galleys protecting the fishing geek of Longshanks. He could lose 3 fishing ships over here pretty easily. DC on the stone for Ivailo for the 4th one. And as I said, one of the things I like about Lithuanians here is versatility. They can play cavalry, but they can also play with their skirmishers. Whereas Malay is actually a civilization that is so heavy towards archers that they have some trouble against skirmishers, especially in Castle Age. In Imperial, they can go Arbalest Bombard Cannon, but Skirmisher Cavalier should still beat that. 3 TCs for Longshanks, for Ivailo. Elite Skirm just now coming in. Longshanks still has the score lead, but I don't think that he's gonna be able to do much of a damage to the opponent. There is no defense upgrades for the Skirms though, and that's a lot of crossbows. So this is gonna be a little bit scary for Ivailo, but he's got TCs protecting all of his resources, so he doesn't really have to be scared. And he's got 15 on stone, so he wants a castle for himself. It might even be latest, but his opponent is going into Imperial. And hold on, that's a very, very fast Imperial from our Malay player. He's going to reach it at like 32 minutes or so. And Ivailo is not even remotely close to imping here. He could try Elite Skirms, but Arbalest will still eat Imperial Age Elite Skirms. And it's going to take some time until Ivailo gets into Imperial. So even if he clicks up right now, he's going to be 2 minutes behind. So that is a bit concerning for Ivailo. He's going to be sitting on potentially 5 relics. You can see that this is the only one he hasn't picked up, and he's going for it as well. Relic number 4 and relic number 5 are coming in as skirmishers are out. The scout is probably going to try and take off some HP from that monk, or not. That's not gonna happen. A defensive castle coming in here for Ivailo. Expanding to the north for gold. And what is Ivailo going to do when he sees his opponent being in Imperial, though? I think he needs to go at least +2 defense for the skirms. And then potentially click into Imperial as soon as possible. He's not that far away, but that's gonna be a 3 minutes deficit into Imperial. Once again, Ivailo has not lost a single game in this tournament so far. 3-0'd his opponent in the previous round, leading 2-0 right now. And he sees that his opponent is in Imperial, and will just idle his TCs to go up. This is the safest town center to go up with, and indeed that's gonna be the case. Some knights are out for Longshanks to deal with the skirmishers, but I mean, Malay knights are awful, so it's not really going to be a big deal, although they help clean up the skirms. The biggest problem for the skirms right now is they don't have any defense upgrades. So currently, Ivailo's army isn't really great. He's gonna have to go for mass skirms for now. He just needs to hold for 2.5 minutes though, and that's extremely important. That he just needs to hold for a little while, and it is actually late chemistry from Longshanks. I think in this situation for Longshanks you prioritize chemistry over Bracer, because you want to get to Bombard Cannon as fast as possible. Without Siege, there is not much that Longshanks can do against the buildings of the opponent. Still, right now it is 44 army against 13. If if Io gets into Imperial, this is still good for him. But I feel like I'm not sure if he's gonna get there. I'm legit not sure if he's getting there. So, more and more skirms being queued up once again. We know how Viper likes to play this one, if it's really Viper. He likes to wait until the final second. He doesn't need to rush this one just yet. He can wait a little bit with the elite skirms. He's also missing Tumbling, I believe, on those, but he's waiting for the skirms, and he will do one big pop and just finish off those arbs. A little bit sloppy, those rams being unprotected. A couple of arbs would pick off quite a lot of Voyagers. Ivailo has a small Voyager lead right now, as the water now has been cleaned up, so Ivailo has control over that. But it's only 30 seconds away from Imperial. And the thing is that Longshanks' push wasn't really fast enough. He's got the R's, but the bombard cannons are missing. Rams are coming in, but they're actually pretty slow. And the thing is that Ivailo is able to get into Imperial, and if he gets Bracer Chemistry, I think Tower Shields is something that he should go for. Once again, a little bit sloppy from Longshanks that he's not protecting those Rams. He just doesn't have Siege to support, and this is why I said that you prioritize Chemistry over Bracer, and try to bring in as many bombard cannons as you can. And you see that Malay, it looks like it's gonna be Pikemen from Longshanks. Now the skirmishers pop out, there is Tower Shields for the skirms, and this is the moment where once again Ivaio is waiting, and then he unpops the units in the perfect time. Ring Archer Armor would make those skirmishers even stronger, but it's once again a stomp. And now you can actually start thinking about the Lithuanian cavalry, and we shouldn't forget the fact that there is already stables coming up here for Ivailo, and somewhere on this field there's a 5th relic as well for him. That's the 5th relic. He's got 4 relics already, and I think that in this case, Pikemen won't do much to you. Like, the problem is that Cavalier Skirmisher is insanely hard to beat in this situation. I for a moment thought it's going to be I thought for a moment that it could be longswords, so 4th Levy Swordsmen from our red player to deal with the skirmishers, but still, I mean, it's soon gonna be cavalry. And remember that because Ivaio was pretty much cornering his opponent inside his base, look at this, a random skirmisher killing Voyagers here. Voyager count is dead even, but you're up against a Lithuanian player that has 4 relics. There is Cavalier stables coming in, and soon the Cavalier will start coming from left side as well. Mobility is a big problem as well for Malay. Malay is a slow civilization, and slow civilizations work well on this map until you get to post-Imperial. I mean, look at that zigzagging with that monk. I think no one has any doubts anymore that this is Viper. The bigger question is who exactly is Edward, because apparently this is the last time we're going to see games from him, because I feel like now from every aspect of the game, Longshanks is losing. It's gonna be Cavalier with who knows how much attack, even without foraging is gonna be +4. Elite skirms coming in here, and you see that Longshanks is that 38 army. Out of that, 31 is Arabs, but he's up against Lithuanian skirms with 10 pierce armor. These guys don't even scratch those skirms, and yeah, you can have a bombard cannon, but there is going to be Cavalier supporting. So, once again, I think Ivaio is going to play this one patient, and he won't unpop this army over here until he really needs to. He's going to start bringing the Cavalier. These Cavalier aren't really well upgraded right now. They only have +2 defense and no attack upgrades. So really the relics are the ones that are killing these Cavalier forward, but once again, look at this fight. That's a bad fight actually for Ivailo over there. Lost a lot of skirmishers to the bombard cannon, but I mean, he's still picking off the majority of the arbalasts, despite the fact that he's losing skirms over here, and more importantly, he's getting Cavalier into the opponent's eco. Ring Archer armor just not coming in for Edward Longshanks, but the thing is that Ring Archer armor Arbalest won't actually stop the Cavalier flood. At some point, Ivaio is just going to unleash like 30 Cavalier, I believe. That's what he's waiting for, maybe even waiting for Podin. Hill forts! Hill forts, look at that! Now, what do hill forts do, by the way? Hill forts actually make your TCs have a free extra range. That's all what they do. Some cap drams are inside here, but I feel like that hill forts feels a bit of a flex, to be honest here. I'm trying to think about that, but no reason to get hill force in this very moment right now. Some cap drams will try to knock down this TC, but Voyagers can just repair, and bombard cannon will take down the rams. Even if the TC goes down, doesn't really matter, to be honest. Some Cavalier are here. And yeah, congratulations, you have destroyed the TC, but you're up against Lithuanian soon-to-be Paladins, I believe. It's right now Cavalier with Blade Barding. Apparently, Ivaio was preparing for Halberdier switch earlier because he already made hand cannons, but reality is that his opponent is nowhere close to a Halberdier switch. It's +1/+2 pikeman. Now it's Halberdiers, so he was right about that. But to be honest, these hand cannons are not really useful at this map part. Look at also this expansion, by the way, from Ivaio. He's preparing for a long game, securing all the gold on the northern part of the map. 130 vultures against 121, but I feel like we're just waiting for the inevitable Paladin push here with Ivaio. He actually indeed has Paladin on the way. He's still missing attack upgrades on the Blacksmith, but I guess he's gonna start grabbing those as well. And like, you're not gonna stop +8 Paladins, that's for sure. So this is a little bit sloppy over there from Ivaio losing all the hand cannoneers to the Arbalest, but there is enough skirmishers over here to take a good fight for Ivailo, and more importantly, the Cavaliers are already running past, and interestingly, we also have Light Cav coming from Ivailo, so he wants to make sure that he doesn't throw away a lot of gold, because this map has a lot more gold than normal maps, so Paladin is actually sustainable for quite a while, but that still doesn't mean that you want to spam them endlessly, and it is a smart idea to start mixing some light cav as well for some raiding. Skirmishers once again will be brought in for this one. Hand cannoneers, I don't think they're really needed. I think Lithuanian skirmishers and cavalry is a very, very nice combination over here, although now the hand cannoneers will pick off the halberdiers. And behind this one, Edward Longshanks has a lot of idols as well. Halberdiers getting picked apart, and it's not Paladins. And the only thing that's missing for our blue player right now is the attack upgrades on those cavalry, which is something that he could get. He's just not getting it right now. So I don't really see Longshanks actually stopping this. And Ivailo might actually remain the only undefeated player in this entire tournament. That's actually crazy. Whoever it is, it seems like it's Viper, but even without committing to a person, it's actually very impressive that at the highest level of competition you go undefeated in the first 2 rounds. And at this point, the mobility is going to start becoming a problem for the Malay player, and more importantly, just the amount of Paladin will be a problem for the Malay player. Forging now coming in, and I think that when those upgrades finish, those Paladin will be unstoppable. Very, very little map control right now for Longshanks as well. 160 population against 180. But now it's a flood of skirmishers and more importantly Paladins. In fact, if you take a look at how many resources Ivaio is floating, that's just crazy. And he's gonna have like 20 Paladin breaking to the left side of the base of his opponent. And honestly, Paladins with +8, it's not something that Halberdiers are great against either, to be honest. He's gonna go and take down the barracks, so he makes his own push a little bit easier here. Once again, he's not gonna rush, but it's 54 army right now with 35 Paladin versus the 30 Halberdiers, but those Halberdiers or even missing Blast Furnace, and most importantly, they will just get killed by hand cannoneers or skirmishers. Slow and steady, Ivaio is pushing forward. Now he brings in his bombard cannons, and now that there is no Arbalest on the field, it's gonna be Paladin hand cannon, which is one of the strongest unit compositions in the game. Rarely seen in 1v1 because it's very, very gold heavy, but Paladin and hand cannon can definitely clap basically anything. Now TC is going down, and map control is going to be basically non-existent soon for Longshanks. Longshanks, he didn't play bad, but I think Ivaio in this series was absolutely brutal. This was clinical precision in most times from Ivaio. There was some sloppier moments, but at the end of the day, the timings, the decision-making, the strategies, they were all on point. And I mean, well, I think that this is the moment when Longshanks should just call it. You see 40 Lithuanian Paladins with already +6, soon to be +8 running towards you. It looks like he's gonna wait for this fight, but this game is over. This game is totally over. You don't stop the Lithuanian Paladins. And Edward Longshanks exits the tournament in a 3-0 manner. Ivaio winning it, and as I said, remains undefeated in the entire tournament and goes straight into the semifinals.